My name's Sachin Sudra from Namaste Ayurveda. And once again, I'm here to formally introduce to you an amazing woman, mother, doctor, mother of two, and presently expecting another one. Dr. Christina Burns, who is the founder and doctor of Chinese medicine for Nature and Life in Manhattan, New York. Christina is a committed, compassionate, highly skilled, amazing individual who's been the pioneer of Naturna Health Center, which has been dedicated to the comprehensive fusion of Eastern medicine and Western medicine. With over 15 years of clinical practice experience, Christina seeks to empower both women and men to achieve their optimal life health goals through natural medicine practices, nutrition, lifestyle management, personal mind, body programs. She's also a licensed doctor of Chinese medicine and sits on the board of certification for Oriental reproductive medicine for over 9 years of post-secondary education. Christina is a specialist in acupuncture, herbs, nutrition, life coaching, and yoga therapy. She's also trained overseas in China, India, Nepal, Canada, and honing her skills continually in New York City, becoming a figurative leader in integrative health. And with that in mind, also having a child right now in her belly and traveling to New York for work too. So thank you, Christina, for being here. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, Sachin. I'm so excited.
Definitely. So I guess to begin, I just wanted to ask if you could give like in a nutshell to our audience, hyper and hypothyroidism, how does this affect women in a modern age when they're either preparing to have children and after they've given birth?
Right.
Especially with women who are in a very masculine society, they need to keep up with business, go, go, go.
hmm Yeah. So, I mean, thyroid health is a really important topic. The thyroid gland is a very sensitive gland. It reacts to toxins in our environment. It reacts to our emotions. It reacts to our food, our daily practices. And it's a huge consideration because it has a massive effect on our hormonal health in general. So they're the thyroid hormones themselves, and they can affect our reproductive hormones quite a bit. So if your thyroid is off, you could have irregular periods or no periods or light periods or overly heavy periods. So it'll influence your menstrual health. It'll influence your ability to get pregnant and maintain a pregnancy. If your thyroid is off, you could miscarry. And then the thyroid is often a gland that can be thrown off during pregnancy itself. So you see a lot of women being prescribed thyroid medications during their pregnancy just to make sure that it's level to protect the pregnancy. And then postpartum, after they have the baby, it's also common with all of the hormonal changes to throw the thyroid off. It's called the mother gland, and it's very affected by all of our other hormonal kind of interactions and movements, and very much by our lifestyle and our emotional state. So super, super important for conception, important for maintaining a pregnancy, and important for our physical and mental health thereafter. Most of us know the thyroid can influence our weight. So it's really easy to gain weight if you have hypothyroidism. And when you have hyperthyroidism, it's actually more common to lose weight. Hyperthyroidism is a little bit less common, but can be actually quite serious if it's out of whack. And so a lot of women with hyperthyroidism will end up having their thyroid radiated. And then because they no longer have a functioning thyroid there, then they have to go on medication for the rest of their lives. So I think Sachin embodies the same philosophy as I do, where prevention is key, and we try to do the right lifestyle practices that will keep our thyroid healthy. And if it's already a little bit out of whack, then we try to guide it back into a place of balance through what we're eating and what we're doing on a daily basis. I remember doing a workshop for women years ago about the thyroid, and talking about how spiritually it was, the center of our communication because it lives here. And women are the ones who tend to have more issues with thyroid over men. And there was some banter over whether that is a woman's challenge with communication, with feeling heard, with being heard, with communicating herself, with advocating for herself. So a lot of both spiritual and just like sort of more practical lifestyle things to consider when talking about the thyroid. And I'm sure we're going to get more into diet and Eastern medicine and things that we can do.
Well, yeah, and I think it's interesting because you said women usually feel it here, and when I think of this, and it's known as what's known as the throat chakra in Ayurveda or in yoga or in Vedic sciences, and this is such a big center, of course, for throat, for communication, delivery, emotions. And when I think about like, Ujjayi breath, like how we can strengthen this area as well. Also like neck exercises, how a lot of those things are really good for thyroid conditions as well, in regards to like how yoga practices are helpful too. But I'm really curious because if we look at progesterone and estrogen, aren't these hormones naturally, like their qualities, like they're comforting, they're soft, they're nurturing, they're caring. And when they get imbalanced, they kind of do the opposite, or they're kind of robbed, let's say, when these hormones get imbalanced.
Well, I mean, when those hormones are out of balance, we can feel pretty insane actually as women. So, when our hormones are relatively within balance, we can feel clear and inspired, and we look well. And then if progesterone and estrogen get out of balance, then we can feel angry or anxious, like hasty, and have an inability to focus. And on top of that, we may feel more bloated and like have fluid retention, have digestive issues. So the estrogen and progesterone influence a lot, and our thyroid hormones are intimately connected to the production of estrogen and progesterone. In fact, if the estrogen is really out of balance, it can actually affect our thyroid function quite a bit. And a lot of us have a tendency towards having estrogen imbalances just because we're consuming so many extra estrogens from our environment, plastic bottles, xenoestrogens from containers like that, and then the hormones that are in conventional meat products, dairy products. And then the way that toxins and chemicals that are on our foods, if we're not eating organic, can affect our estrogen balance and our ability to eliminate. We also go through different hormonal transitions in our lifetimes, and say in perimenopause, when we're having a bit of an imbalance of the estrogen and progesterone, that can be a time that can throw off the thyroid balance also. Most of the time it's leading to an underfunctioning thyroid, where we start to run into problems with lethargy, dry skin, hair falling out, and probably the most frustrating for a huge segment of the population is the weight gain.
Definitely, definitely. I think of thyroid care for stressful times, and I really enjoyed how you brought up a lot of things on plastic and that how like microplastic is being embedded even in our soil now, and
Mhm.
how I read something online that women are actually in their fetuses. There's actually microplastics in their fetuses and it's
So
so
creepy.
yeah, it's really interesting. So in
Yeah.
regards to okay, so when women have thyroid issues and they might go in pharmaceutical medicines such as thyroxine, I believe it's called, and
Levothyroxine. Yeah.
yeah, and all these things that might cause this imbalance. Okay, so if we're in these stressful times, we're trying to create balance through resetting our life. For you personally, what would you say have been some of the best tools for you to keep yourself more in balance? As you're someone who's like driving 2 days a week from your home outside of New York to New York City during a pandemic with a child in your stomach, treating like 10 clients a day, during this COVID time, what's keeping you balanced? What's your self
Uh,
practice? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's super important to have self-care, to stay as balanced as you can be. I mean, I think balance is relative because it's really hard to maintain like a perfect state of balance all the time. In a modern world, we just have a lot of considerations, and us ladies are often on the go these days. So, we're juggling career, we're juggling kids also some of the time. And, we're trying to get everything done. The type A personality can make us really want to get a lot of things done in a day. So, I really like to be clear and feel good in my body. So, what I do to sort of manage the overexertion, I would say, like maybe sometimes if it's a lot of work and not enough rest, is I'll meditate more. I think meditation is a wonderful way to achieve a state of balance, accessing an inner calm. For the thyroid health, the calming of stress hormones is actually really important because stress hormones can actually attack the thyroid function. So if you are in a state of fight or flight a lot of the time, that will start to kind of wear down the thyroid function. Another consideration is the health of your liver. So, if your liver is really clogged up, you won't be able to metabolize hormones properly. And your active thyroid hormone is that conversion happens in the liver. So, it's converted from T4 into T3, which is your active form. And if you can't convert those hormones, then your thyroid hormones won't be doing their job to give you energy and boost your metabolism and make you feel emotionally calm and clear. So to move the liver, my suggestion is a clean diet, eating lots of green leafy vegetables, tons of water, avoiding fried foods, alcohol. And another thing that you can do for your liver is to move your body. So I know Sachin is really an amazing guide in the area of yoga. I'm a huge fan. So yoga is a great practice to integrate. If yoga for some reason isn't your thing, then some form of exercise is really important to keep the liver healthy. As a pregnant person, I do some yoga, I go for walks, I do bar classes, I ride a stationary bike. And I don't really do an excess of any of it. Maybe it's like, 10, 20, 30 minutes the days that I have the time to do so. And I find that really helps with balance. I do a ton of acupuncture, and I am highly reliant on acupuncture for my wellness. So I do acupuncture 1 to 2 times per week. That helps to keep my mind more calm, my hormones more balanced. It helps to keep my body more limber, get rid of fluid retention. So I'm a big fan of acupuncture, whether you're pregnant or not, for a variety of reasons. So those are pretty much my go-to things. Yeah,
Was there
I do the exercise, acupuncture, meditation, and healthy eating.
Do you have a spiritual practice?
Yeah, I mean the meditation is mostly my spiritual practice. Help me connect to that silence and that like deeper truth. I find that whenever I'm meditating, there's just more serendipity and magic in my life, and that if I stop meditating for a while, then I start to be overtaken by the noise outside, meaning just noise in the form of thoughts and stresses and concerns, and tapping back into my meditation practice will help me kind of sift through some of that junk a little bit.
Amazing. One thing I have to ask, 'cause I think this is one thing for women when we look at food in Ayurveda. I believe for hypothyroidism, there's some vegetables that actually can suppress your thyroid gland. And I heard that those were like broccoli, cabbage, spinach, and kale. I don't know if I'm right
Mhm.
on that.
Yeah, it's the brassica family of vegetables. So exactly the vegetables that you just mentioned. The active component that suppresses thyroid function, it's called goitrogens. They're also found in soy products. So my recommendation is when eating those vegetables to cook them, because cooking them will reduce or eliminate the goitrogen content and make them easier to digest. So for thyroid function, from an Eastern medicine perspective, we if the thyroid is under functioning, the body becomes a little bit cold. So then eating cold raw foods like kale salad, for example, is not favorable to enhance the thyroid function. And so cooking those foods, those vegetables can actually they're full of minerals, so they're really healthy foods to eat, and they're actually good for your liver a form that is more healthy for thyroid function and for digestion.
That's amazing. I think everything you've talked about has been really effective and helpful because I'm seeing a lot of clients of mine who might be becoming yoga teachers, Ayurvedic teachers, working in other avenues. They're business professionals, and they might be even older and they might be younger. But there seems to be one plain feature that people's health, they really want to feel alive, zest. So they're looking at food as that main avenue. And I think one thing that you've reset this conversation is how important self-care, ease and grace, taking your time with your exercise. You don't need to go 100 miles an hour. You can do little increments and give yourself those pockets so there's more ease and grace.
Yeah, I mean, you said earlier in the conversation session about like, the sort of like soft nature of like feminine hormones, right? And not that I think that women have to be 100% soft in nature all the time, because there are sometimes it's warranted that, we need to be a bit more assertive. But I think by and large, embracing that softness and that yin quality is going to help us feel more in balance with ourselves and the universe at large. I think, trying to force everything and going too fast all the time, it's just not healthy for us in so many ways.
That's great. If there's one thing you could leave like all these sisters in the world off with to be like, okay, we're all going to have these hormonal issues or they're going to potentially come up. There's one word of advice you can give to that modern woman out there who's like, has two kids or on the route to do that, or just like women who are in their 20s who are basically finding that they're having skin issues, hair loss, um, you know, large blood flow of menstruation, which when I look at it from an Ayurvedic perspective, it all goes back to hormones. If there's
Mhm.
one thing you could like a key thing you could leave someone with when they come to see you, what would it be?
So my nugget of advice would be to not neglect the basics. So a lot of people are always in search of like a big answer, like a medication or an herb that's going to fix everything. And though there are certain medications and there are herbs and natural medicines that can help, most of the time when we're out of balance, it's because our lifestyle is out of balance. So these, small factors that I mentioned, what you're eating on a day to day, how you're moving your body, if you have a practice that calms down your nervous system, these are the things that are going to be helping us stay. To help you with that, then get one. I know Sachin is a wealth of knowledge. I'm also available for virtual consults, but just make sure that you're giving attention and time to those basic day-to-day habits to restore balance and keep you well.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And if any of the people who are watching this want to follow you, get in touch with you, how can they do that?
Sure. Yeah. So you can DM me on Instagram at naturallycb. I also own and operate and work in a wellness institute in New York City. It's called the Naterna Institute. The website is www.naternalife.com. And there you can book consults with me virtually, or if you happen to be in the New York area, I'd love to see you in person, mask on. And yeah, so you can find me on social media or through my wellness studio.
Yeah, I'll make sure to get that to everyone. Christina, thank you so much for your time today and namaste.
Namaste, Session. Thanks so much for having me. I
You.
always love seeing you.
Namaste.